My fiancée got into a car accident while picking up her twin sister, who had returned from abroad. When I rushed to the hospital and saw she only had minor scratches, I joyfully pulled her into my arms. Mary, I'm so glad you're okay. Mary quickly stepped back and pointed at Lily, who looked identical to her. You've got the wrong person. She's Mary. I stood frozen in place. Lily quickly rushed into my arms with a smile. George, I'm your fiancée. She's my sister, Lily. I nodded calmly. Mary, let's go home. The motion sensor light in the entryway turned on as I brought her back to the home I'd shared with Mary for several years. Lily frowned while supporting her bandaged forehead, her voice weak. Darling, the doctor said I have a slight concussion. I can't remember many things clearly. Watching her unfamiliarity with all the arrangements, I pretended not to notice and nodded in agreement. I helped her into the bedroom to rest and prepared dinner to call her. But the sound of a phone conversation coming through the door crack sent chills down my spine. Lily, as your sister, I'm begging you. Just pretend to be me for 1 week, then we'll switch back. Aren't you afraid he'll find out the truth? If he does, I'll just sweet-talk him. He loves me so much. He'd never leave me. Tom is back in the country, and I don't want to have any regrets before getting married. So, you still can't get over Tom, huh? Enough nonsense. You've been around George lately. Watch your boundaries. I turned and left, deliberately making noise when I reached the living room. Lily quickly locked her phone screen and stepped out of the bedroom. Darling, what's wrong? I accidentally broke the spoon. It's okay. I'll handle it. Are you hurt anywhere? She immediately bent down and began cleaning up the broken pieces on the floor. No, I'm not much of a cook. Just making some simple noodles. Lily gently threw herself into my arms and said, Anything you make is fine, darling. She took off my apron, wrapped her arms around my neck, and was about to kiss me. My gaze suddenly froze. I had clearly just heard Mary reminding her to keep her behavior in check. Yet, she still, and ever since I met Lily, she's genuinely disliked me from the bottom of her heart. So, why is she being so proactive now? Just as she was about to kiss my lips, I hurriedly dodged. She froze for a moment and asked in confusion, Honey, what's wrong? Nothing. Just feeling a bit tired. Lily smiled and said, That's understandable. Our wedding is just a week away, and I'm really looking forward to it. The next day, Lily took me to a birthday party. The atmosphere was already lively when we arrived. As soon as I entered the private room, I saw Mary and Tom. George, long time no see. Do you still remember your old classmate? Tom said, holding Mary's hand with fingers interlaced, smiling as he greeted me. Of course, my good friend. I calmly sat down with Lily on my arm, not even glancing at Mary, who was looking my way. Tom used to be my college roommate and later became a close friend, but now he was being intimate with my fiancée right in front of me. And Mary seemed quite content to enjoy this intimacy with him under another identity right before my eyes. I smiled bitterly to myself. If this was how things were, then I had nothing left to hold back. After several rounds of drinks, one of the games happened to involve Mary and Tom sharing the same marshmallow. When only a small piece of the marshmallow remained, it was suddenly pulled away, leaving their cheeks pressed together and their noses touching. Kiss, kiss. Amid the teasing cheers, Mary couldn't help but glance at me. I immediately returned a smile and joined in the clapping and cheering. Kiss, kiss. Mary's eyes darkened slightly as she turned her head and locked lips with Tom in a passionate kiss. When the kiss ended, Tom held the limp Mary in his arms and ever so faintly cast a triumphant sidelong glance my way. I remained calm and ignored it, but the next moment the bottle suddenly pointed at me. The punishment was 30 push-up kisses with a member of the opposite sex of my choice. All eyes turned to me. Mary instinctively avoided my gaze, but Lily beside me narrowed her eyes. With a smile, I glanced around and said, Of course, I choose my fiancée. I turned to Lily and said, Sweetheart, let's begin. Okay. Lily smiled and slowly stood up. I took her hand and led her to the open area of the private room. She lay down on the carpet and said, Darling, come on. Right away. I smiled, placing my hands on either side of Lily's shoulders as I slowly leaned in closer under the gaze of everyone present. I lowered my head and kissed her lips directly. Wow, Exclamations erupted one after another, but the exclamation had just begun when it suddenly fell silent again. My body kept rising and falling, each time pressing heavily against Lily's lips. After it ended, however, I noticed a heavy atmosphere surrounding Mary. Perhaps it was precisely because of this that the others fell silent. I suddenly felt a sense of absurdity. Clearly, she was the one who pushed me toward another woman. Clearly, she was the one who got intimate with another man right in front of me. So, why is she unhappy now that it's my turn? I feigned confusion and looked around at everyone. It's just a game penalty. Why is everyone so quiet? George and his fiancée have such a great relationship, Tom suddenly exclaimed, breaking the unprecedented silence. Mary's face darkened upon hearing this, her knuckles turning white as she gripped the cup. All right, you guys have fun. I'm going to the restroom. I paid no attention, but on my way back, I overheard a conversation in the corner. Lily, I warned you not to cross the line, Mary said coldly. It's just a game. Lily's voice was laced with amusement. Now I'm his fiancée. Should he find someone else to take the punishment? Or perhaps you, his sister? Mary fell silent for a moment. Fine, but you must hold the final line. Soon, he'll be your brother-in-law. Even if you don't truly have feelings for him, avoid overly intimate gestures. Spare yourself the trouble and spare me the guilt. How well you understand me. Lily's tone dripped with sarcasm. I clenched my fist for a long while before finally letting out a bitter laugh. Mary, Lily isn't what you think she is. After returning home, Lily suddenly reached out and wrapped her arms around my neck. Before I could react, she stood on tiptoe and kissed me. Our lips intertwined until she was breathless before finally pulling away. My dear, just 6 more days until our wedding. She collapsed in my arms, her gaze profound. I stared blankly at Lily, feeling like the person before me bore no resemblance to the one in my memories. She had been playing the role of someone who despised me in front of Mary. Yet here she was, kissing me willingly and eagerly anticipating our wedding. There was always a world of difference between me and them. But it was Mary who gradually dispelled all my concerns. She introduced me to her social circle where I met many fair-skinned, beautiful, noble women. But the fact that Lily despised me was an open secret among everyone. She had always sneered at the relationship between Mary and me. I used to avoid her whenever I saw her. But ever since Mary pushed me toward her, she has repeatedly crossed the line. Could it be that she has some conflict with Mary and is retaliating against her? The next day, I was revising my draft on the drawing board, pencil dust fluttering onto the edges of the sketch. Lily knocked and entered, holding a plate of fruit. Darling, you've been cooped up at home all day. There's an auction tonight. Let's go check it out. Sure. I thought for a moment, then smiled and nodded. After driving to the auction venue, the attendant led us into the private room. But the moment the door was pushed open, we saw Mary straddling Tom's lap, her skirt hiked up above her knees. Tom pulled her into a deep kiss, his hands slipping beneath her skirt, roaming restlessly over her body. Mary's dazed eyes suddenly met ours in an unexpected collision of gazes. A momentary stiffness flashed across her face, vanishing as quickly as it appeared. George! Tom tightened his embrace around Mary, his face full of surprise. You're here for the auction, too. But how did you end up in our private box? The auction house manager hurried over, beads of sweat forming at his temples. Mr. Tom, our sincerest apologies for the mistake. We'll arrange a new private room for you immediately. No need, Tom interrupted, his gaze fixed on me. We all know each other, right, George? You wouldn't mind, would you? Lily even mentioned she'd bid on a ruby ring for me. Perfect timing. We can watch together. The atmosphere in the private room grew oddly tense. Mary leaned back on the sofa, her eyes darting between me and Lily before suddenly breaking into a smile. Let's sit together. We're all sisters here. And George isn't an outsider either. Looking at Mary's composed demeanor, I couldn't help but recall 3 years ago when I found Tom's forgotten watch in Mary's car. She had brushed it off just as casually, saying, Tom is your brother. Don't make a big deal out of it. Perhaps they had already begun back then. If that's the case, why deceive me? Why still marry me? Beside me, Lily held my arm, pulling me back to reality from my memories. She let me to sit on the sofa farthest from them. Throughout the auction, whenever Tom glanced at an item twice, Mary would bid for it. In the private room, Tom held her close, kissing her cheek again and again. Lily is the best to me. His gaze went over Lily, landing directly on me, filled with a sense of showing off. Once, Mary also spent extravagantly for me like this, whispering promises in my ear. George, I'll make all your dreams come true in the future. But now it's all become a joke. When it came to the final highlight, the auction of the wedding rings. 10 million. Lily's voice suddenly rang out. Everyone was stunned. Tom's smile froze on his face, and Mary also looked at her in confusion. I'm bidding on these rings for George as our wedding rings. Mary frowned and stared at Lily for a long time before speaking slowly. Since George likes it, then I'll let you have it. After the auction ended, Tom and I went to the restroom. There were too many people, so I turned around and headed back to the private room. But at the door, I overheard their conversation. Seeing how wild you and Tom are together, it must have been a while since you had this much fun with George, right? Lily remarked. Mary's voice dripped with lazy satisfaction. Absolutely. Lately, Tom and I have been rediscovering that same excitement I once had with George. He's even more adventurous than George, and so considerate in every way. Being with him is pure comfort. In that case, why not go with the flow? Lily paused, her voice laced with a hint of temptation. Tom seems more to your liking than George. Besides, haven't you always complained that George controls you too much and ruins your fun? Lily asked. George and I have years of history together. It's not something that can be severed so easily. Mary sighed wistfully. But Tom said he doesn't care about titles. He just wants us to enjoy this time together. Huh. After returning home, Lily suddenly sat on my lap and pressed her lips against mine. After a long while, she pulled back breathlessly, looking up at me with earnest eyes. You're the best, George. No need to compare yourself to anyone. This seemed to be a response to Mary's earlier comparison between me and Tom. I stared at her in a daze. Those eyes, once covered with a thin layer of ice, were now filled with tenderness and affection. How did she know? How could she understand me so well? During these days together, she not only knew little habits that even Mary hadn't noticed, but also could always sense my emotions. In a moment of impulse, when I picked her up and carried her into the room, she didn't push me away. Mary has been the only woman in my life. The girl who once ran through 3 blocks in a stormy night to buy medicine. The woman who knelt all night to persuade her parents. On the night of Grandma's burial, she said, I'll always be with you. Those vows had long since soured with time. If that's the case, why not try loving someone else? The next day, our group planned to go hiking together. When assigning tents, Mary looked visibly upset. She pulled Lily aside and said, Are you two really going to share a tent? You must stay separately. It's just sharing a tent, Lily said nonchalantly. You know, I can't stand him. So what are you worried about? I suddenly spoke up, and Mary swallowed her words with a dark expression. Lily looked at her with a faint smile. The next morning, Mary dragged Lily to an empty corner again, her face livid. I leaned against the big tree, listening to her furious accusation. Did you two sleep together last night? What's it to you? Lily clicked her tongue twice. Instead of enjoying yourself with your little boyfriend, you have the time to eavesdrop. Mary, since when have you been so free? Stop playing dumb with me, Mary growled. I don't need you to keep acting anymore. We're switching back. Huh? You think you could just switch back like that? Is that even possible? How are you going to explain what happened during this time? Mary's face turned from green to pale. Besides, what about Tom after switching back? Can you accompany both of them alone? Lily tilted her chin toward the tent. Tom is right there. Didn't you say you felt most comfortable with him? I told Tom from the start it was just for fun. Mary glared at Lily. I never planned to give up George. He only loves me, and if I swear to apologize, he'll definitely forgive me. Mary gritted her teeth. But you kept saying you hated him, yet you took the chance to sleep with him. Lily, how could you betray your own sister like this? When did I ever say I hated him? Lily raised an eyebrow, her tone suddenly icy. It was you, Tom, your whole circle who assumed I hated him. She tugged at her collar, revealing ambiguous red marks on her neck. Who was it that shoved him at me in the first place? Mary's fist clenched with a creaking sound. I must have been blind. You've had your eyes on George all along, deliberately using this scheme to steal him from me. Scheme? Lily chuckled softly. Sister, the first move in this chess game was made by your own hand. The morning light filtered through the leaves, casting its glow on Mary's livid face. Lily adjusted her slightly disheveled collar. Since George and I've already come this far, and you think Tom is a good match, why not let the mistake stand? I'll marry George, and you can charm your new love. Wouldn't that make everyone happy? Make everyone happy? A glint of obsession flickered in Mary's eyes. I don't care that he slept with you. It'll only make him need my forgiveness more and make it easier for me to be forgiven. I'm going to confront Tom right now, then beg George for forgiveness. She turned abruptly, her tone resolute. Let's see who George's heart truly leans toward. I leaned idly against the large tree, catching a glimpse of a figure in the distance from the corner of my eye. Tom's knuckles turned white as he gripped his phone, then hurriedly turned back toward the campsite. In the afternoon, Lily and the group were packing up the tents. Tom suddenly grabbed my wrist. George, there's a fish pond over there. Want to go catch some for grilling? I gave him a deep look, then followed with the fishing gear. By the pond, Tom suddenly shoved his phone into my palm. Listen to this. I secretly recorded it. I clicked play and heard the two sisters discussing swapping identities. What do you mean? I pushed the phone back toward him. He sneered and said, What do I mean? Mary told Lily to impersonate your fiancé. She just got tired of you and pushed Lily onto you for marriage, so she could be with me. Even Lily helped deceive you. Everyone's been playing you for a fool. I'm only telling you this as a bro. Tom blurted out the whole truth at breakneck speed, his eyes brimming with excitement for the drama. But when he met my utterly unfazed gaze, he stood frozen in place. I reeled in the fishing line, placed the fish in the bucket, and smiled as I countered. So what? Isn't Lily treating me well now? Just as good as Mary ever did. Tom's pupils constricted sharply, as if seeing me clearly for the first time. You knew, and yet you're this calm? Suddenly, a thought struck him. Don't tell me you knew from the very beginning that they had switched identities. I baited the hook and cast the line into the water. You only realized it now. As a good brother, you shouldn't spill the secret. He stumbled and fell to the ground. You knew and still got involved with Lily. George, you've hidden this too well. He scrambled to his feet and dashed toward the campsite. I'm going to tell Mary. Tell everyone you've been acting. I idly stirred the fish in the bucket and spoke casually. Are you sure you want to tear down this facade? Seeing him pause in his steps, I continued. She said she wanted to come clean with you this morning. Didn't you hear that clearly? Tom's expression shifted uncertainly, but then he scoffed coldly. What if I tell Mary that you knew everything and still deliberately got involved with Lily? Do you think she'd despise you? Would she lean even more toward me? Oh, in that case, I'd better protect my image. Say I was so heartbroken by Mary that I accepted Lily's comfort. Facing his sudden change in expression, I chuckled softly. Do you think she'd believe me? Or you? The third wheel who meddled in a brother's relationship. Didn't you just hear? She doesn't mind I slept with Lily. He staggered back, his eyes filled with horror. George, you weren't like this before. What was I like before? I chuckled lightly. The naive fool you thought I was. Or the Mary's ideal type you worked so hard to imitate. Seeing his face turn ashen, I decided to lay it bare. Didn't you deliberately get close to me from freshman year just to get to Mary through me? And now you're blaming me? I truly love Mary. Tom raised his voice. You knew she pushed you to Lily, yet you still slept with her. You never loved Mary at all. Never loved. I recalled Lily's burning warmth last night, and suddenly felt my years of devotion somewhat laughable. Where were you when I stood by her side from being a trouble girl to becoming the heir of Gyness Group? Where were you when her parents humiliated me? I leaned in closer. As for you, if Mary lost her fortune, would you still dare say you love her? Tom trembled as he pointed at me. George, what a scheming mind you have. How terrifying you are. Terrifying. I stood up to help him gather the fish. Isn't the woman who pushed her fiancé onto her sister terrifying? Isn't the woman who slept with her sister's fiancé terrifying? Yet I, the victim, am the terrifying one. Looking at his pale face, I brushed off non-existent dust. Don't worry, Lily and Mary. I'll only hold on to one. As for you, I couldn't care less about competing with you for anything. Mary is completely tainted in my eyes now. If you don't mind, feel free to pursue her by any means you see fit. Tom suddenly looked up, his pupils dilating. So, you only care about money. It doesn't matter whether it's Mary or Lily. As long as they can give you a wealthy life, anyone will do. I once loved Mary, but how did she treat me? I replied with a hint of impatience. When Mary pushed me toward Lily, did she ever consider if I'd be hurt? When Lily knew the truth, yet went along with deceiving me, did she show even a shred of remorse? But Lily didn't take me for a fool. At least in my eyes, she's still pure. If she's willing to give me what I want, I'll naturally treat her sincerely. Tom stared at me and suddenly laughed. Do you think Lily is some kind of saint who, in the circle, doesn't know she's the most cunning? Be careful not to lose control of her, or you might end up devoured without even bones left. Sorry to disappoint you, but Lily is really looking forward to our wedding in 3 days. We've both endured days of poverty. I gestured with the fish in my hand and dropped it into his bucket. You climbed the social ladder with schemes. I secured stability with tactics, each relying on their own skills. So if Tom uses me as a stepping stone, I won't do anything. But if he intends to harm me, suddenly, a crisp snap of a breaking branch echoed from the distance. The corner of my eye seemed to catch a glimpse of a swaying him. But when I turned, there was only the rustling of leaves. When Tom and I returned to the camp with the fish, Lily was watching from not far away. She walked up to me and naturally took the fishing gear, smiling as she said, I was so worried I came looking for you. If you really like it here, we can come more often in the future. Before the words had even fully left her lips, she had already taken my hand. Tom stood in place, his eyes filled with confusion. Why is this woman so infatuated with me? And just at that moment, Mary also approached quickly. Yet she completely ignored Tom, only staring intently at Lily, her gaze as cold as ice. I glanced at Mary with my usual confusion. Then I saw her suddenly step forward. George, there's an orchard over there. You once said you wanted to experience fruit picking again. Let me take you. Did I? I don't remember that. I looked down at Lily. Fiancée, did I say that? You did. Her voice was laced with laughter as she blinked. Let's go for grilled fish first, and we'll go there later. Mary froze in place. Behind me, Tom's gaze filled with jealousy seemed to pierce right through me. We sat in front of the grill and placed the prepared fish on it. I sensed Lily's probing gaze beside me, as if she was trying to confirm something. I looked up to see her, as always, gentle yet resolute. I smiled and brought a cherry tomato from the side dish to her lips. She opened her mouth to take it, her tongue brushing against my fingers, her teeth grazing lightly. Ever since that night, she had a way of stirring up subtle intimacy without even trying. The weather had cooled down a bit, so we went to the orchard. Several rich second-generation kids had already climbed the trees to pick fruits, while Mary and Tom were still choosing which tree to pick from. Tom was discussing which tree would be best, but Mary responded absent-mindedly until she saw us. George, I need to talk to you. Tom suddenly looked up, afraid that Mary was about to confront him. Just as he saw us approaching, he hurriedly spoke up. George, you're finally here, Lily. And I walked over. What kind of fruit do you want to pick? I asked with a smile. Lily was whispering to the farmer, asking which fruits were the sweetest and how the trees were distributed. She had just picked a few passion fruits with me when we heard an accident from Mary's side. Mary, be careful, Tom. It turned out there was a snake clinging to the fruit tree, about to bite Mary when she wasn't paying attention. Without regard for his own safety, Tom immediately grabbed the snake. He got bitten and then fell heavily from the fruit tree. Mary hurriedly climbed down the tree, helped him into the car, and rushed him to the hospital. The fruit farmer muttered quietly, truly unable to understand why he had to catch that snake. It was just a harmless one anyway. Even if bitten, it wouldn't have been a big deal, far better than Tom recklessly grabbing it and causing himself to fall from the fruit tree. If something serious happened, the blame would fall on him, and he might even lose everything he owned. Naturally, Mary remained completely unaware of these words. Tom was taken to Central Hospital for treatment. After examination, the doctor said the bones were injured and required rest for recovery. After returning home with Lily, I couldn't help but sigh. To keep Mary, Tom was clearly willing to harm himself. It remains to be seen whether such generosity can yield the desired outcome. Late at night, Lily lay in my arms and said, "If I ever find myself in danger," she paused as if carefully choosing her words, "don't be foolish like Tom. Stay away." I looked up at Lily only to meet her tender, affectionate gaze. She seemed to know I wouldn't risk myself to save her. "If it were you, I wouldn't hesitate," she said firmly. I smiled and smoothed her furrowed brow. "Don't talk nonsense. We both need to stay safe." Before the words faded, my kiss landed heavy and urgent. The next moment, her shadow fell over me. Mary has been staying at the hospital these past few days. In every one of Tom's social media posts, Mary appears in the photos, and the captions always revolve around her. My life is pretty good, too. Rarely seeing Mary pushes me toward her sister. My mood couldn't help but improve a little. Lily even specially prepared a new studio for me. My manga got published again, and this time there was even a signing event. Back then, I made a promise with Mary. "When I hold a signing event, you must come. I want to share the joy with you first," she said at the time. "It's not certain yet. We'll see." But now she stands right at the front of the crowd. I followed the host through the procedures just before officially beginning. I stepped down from a stage and walked toward the crowd. Mary took an excited half-step forward. Yet, I brushed past her and embraced the woman holding my favorite white roses as she threw herself into my arms. After I spun Lily around twice, she kissed me first. My George is indeed the best. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Mary standing nearby, her eyes bloodshot, her knuckles clenched to the point of distortion. The day before the wedding was Grandma's death anniversary. Early in the morning, when Lily and I arrived at the cemetery, Mary was already in front of the tombstone. Seeing us approach, she said softly, "I've cleaned up everything around Grandma." "Thank you." I turned to Lily with a smile. "Darling, we must properly thank your sister." Naturally, Lily placed the offerings before the grave, but I had just cleaned it yesterday, so there's no need for her to trouble herself in the future. After adjusting her scarf, we knelt together to pay our respects. In my heart, I told Grandma that Lily treats me very well, that I'm getting married tomorrow, and that I'm very happy. Mary clenched her fists and stood aside, watching our departing figures walking hand in hand. I knew Lily had tried more than once to stop Mary from telling me the truth. "Do you think George will forgive you or hate you even more when he finds out you deliberately pushed him toward his own sister just to seek excitement with his brother?" Mary was frightened, and she backed down. But tomorrow is the wedding, and she finally couldn't hold back anymore. Leaving the studio at dusk, I was stopped by Mary. "George." Her eyes were bloodshot, greedily scanning me. I frowned impatiently. "Lily, what do you want by stopping me? It's completely over between me and Tom." She suddenly grabbed my wrist and spoke. I forcefully broke free and took 2 steps back. "That's your business. I have no right to interfere." "George, I just wanted to tell you that between me and Tom, it was a doomed relationship. He was the one who kept pursuing me," she said frantically. "I've already come to my senses and cut all ties with him." I furrowed my brows. "What's the point of telling me all this?" She shook her head urgently. "I wanted to find a better time, but I just couldn't wait any longer." "George, I'm actually your—" I cut her off. "This is all too absurd. I'm your brother-in-law, and Mary is your sister." "What kind of sister is she?" She suddenly exploded in anger. "She's been scheming all along. Right from the start, she's been plotting." "I don't want to hear your nonsense. Please leave." I was just thinking about how to get rid of her when I suddenly saw Lily's figure. "Darling." I immediately rushed over and hugged Lily. Then Lily took 2 steps forward and glared at Mary. "What madness are you up to?" Mary glared fiercely in confrontation. "Do you think throwing a tantrum will get you what you want? The only reason George is still willing to see you now is because he doesn't know your true nature. If you keep acting this crazy, you'll only push him further away. And I won't let you take one more step near him. As for our sisterly bond, let's just forget about it." Lily snapped sharply, her tone carrying a clear warning and threat. Mary froze in place. She understood Lily's underlying message. If I told the truth, I would only despise her more. If she kept pestering me, Lily would make sure she never got close to me again. Under Mary's gaze, I was led away by Lily. Once in the car, I turned to look at Lily. Her actions these days have been too perfectly aligned with my wishes. It's as if she can see right through my thoughts. Every move she makes follows exactly what I anticipate. It's all a bit too coincidental to be mere coincidence. The next morning, the hotel banquet hall had been decorated into a luxurious wedding venue. I was wearing a high-end white suit. Tom wanted to meet me before the wedding to tell me he had finally completely let go. After recovering from his injuries, he planned to go abroad and never return. He assured me that I didn't need to worry about him revealing the truth. Yet his words sounded more like a threat that if I refused to meet him, he might expose those truths to the world. When Tom entered the room, I noticed he was sitting in a wheelchair with a cast on his foot. "Are you really planning to go abroad again?" I asked as I approached him. He smiled at me. "What's the point of staying here? In the end, it's all for nothing, just adding to the sorrow." But I truly fell for Mary. I shrugged. "As long as you understand." He looked at me with a complicated tone. "You're really something, making both sisters care for you. Now you've gotten what you wanted." I raised an eyebrow at him. "Don't make it sound so perfect. If Mary truly loved me, how could she betray me? As for Lily, who can guarantee she'll never change?" He spoke slowly, his gaze complicated. "I used to think you were full of sincerity and kindness toward the world, but now I realize you've always been on guard." I frowned. "You don't need to look at me that way all the time. I just understand that loving oneself comes first. It's not a hard concept to grasp, is it? But you've gained everything while I've gained nothing." His expression was distant, tinged with sorrow. "Why don't you take it easy? Don't just obsess over love. With all you've done for Mary, wouldn't it be nice to take a sum of money and live comfortably for the rest of your life?" He looked at me in confusion. "Don't you hate me? It was me who used your brother's identity to seduce Mary. When she argued with you, I became even more attentive to her, playing along with her wilder side. I even said I didn't care about the outcome, just wanted to have fun. She treated me as well as she once treated you." I shook my head. She couldn't resist the temptation herself. "So, how can she blame you? When I realized you weren't sincere with me, I stopped considering you a brother. Otherwise, it would have been a double betrayal. Since I never truly cared for you, and you haven't harmed me yet, why should I care what you do? The only one who ever betrayed me was Mary." Tom laughed. "I really envy you," but he saw something. "But I'm still jealous of you because you've got everything I wanted." As he spoke, he suddenly reached out to push me. I tried to dodge, but in my haste I fell to the ground but found his hand was still far from me. At that moment, Mary and Lily rushed toward me in a hurry. Lily quickly stepped forward to help me up while Mary forcefully overturned Tom's wheelchair. He fell to the ground. Mary saw that I was unharmed and raised her hand to slap me. "Stop." He didn't push me. Mary's hand froze midair. Lily, meanwhile, kept her head down and repeatedly checked me for any injuries. Tom collapsed onto the floor, laughing hysterically. "George, after being brothers for so many years, I had to learn something from you. How could I ever really lay a hand on you? What the hell do you want?" Mary glared at him, her voice icy. After confirming I was unharmed, Lily cast a venomous glance at the man on the floor. Tom gave Mary a look of utter despair before suddenly bursting into maniacal laughter. My heart sank, knowing he was about to reveal everything. "Look at you sisters," he laughed, his shoulders shaking. "Played like fools by a man. George knew from the very beginning that you'd swapped identities." Mary froze abruptly. "You told me how much he loved you." Tom pointed at me, but he was fully aware the whole time. "Why did you marry Lily?" "Because you betrayed him, and he just went along with it by accepting your sister." He suddenly turned to Lily, smiling bitterly. "And you, I really don't understand how you could fall for your own sister's man. How many years did he sleep with Mary? Do you think he really loves you? It's only because you're rich and powerful. If you went bankrupt, he'd abandon you without hesitation." He collapsed on the ground, laughing hysterically. You two turned against each other for a man who could abandon you at any moment. Don't you think that's ridiculous? Shut up, Lily roared. Meanwhile, Mary stood frozen, her face pale, the light in her eyes slowly fading. Lily glared at Tom, then lowered her head and spoke softly. George, let's change rooms. The wedding is about to begin. I looked up, her expression unchanged. Her reactions always caught me off guard. Haha, Mary dared to ask George, do you dare ask if you knew the truth from the very beginning? Tom mocked self-destructively. Mary stood still, her gaze confused yet instinctively evasive. Tom's questioning my silence. Some truths were already evident, but she didn't dare to confirm this truth. If I truly knew everything, it would mean I didn't love her and was willingly marrying Lily. George, let's go. Lily firmly tried to pull me away. I looked at the panicked and trembling Mary without moving. Yes, I knew the truth from the very beginning, I said calmly. Mary staggered, trembling as she looked at me. Lily, however, simply lowered her eyelids as if she had already known. Tom looked at Mary's appearance and laughed until tears came. I continued, back in the hospital, when you denied our relationship and avoided my embrace, I was actually giving you chances all along. But you let your own sister become my fiancée, allowing her to spend every moment with me. You even hugged Tom and kissed him right in front of me, spending lavishly on him and doing for him just like you once did with me. So, I'm giving up on you. Mary trembled violently, stammering as she spoke. George, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I truly regret it. It was just a moment of foolishness. She reached out in a trembling panic, but Lily stared at her with weary eyes, not allowing her to get even half a step closer to me. George, I really know I was wrong. You're the only one in my heart, the one I've always wanted to marry. We can get married right away. I'll treat you well for the rest of my life. Just forgive me. You love me, don't you? We were so in love before. Lily abruptly pushed her hand away. Mary, you should have known better the moment you betrayed him. A tainted woman deserves to be discarded. What right do you have to beg for forgiveness? It was you who pushed him into my arms. Today is our wedding day, and now you don't even have the right to come near. Hearing Lily's words, I suddenly raised my head to look at her. The word tainted. Well, have I heard it before? Such words shouldn't have come from Lily's mouth. Suddenly, I remembered saying something similar on the mountain a few days ago. I stood frozen in place again. No, it can't be. George loves me so much. Mary collapsed to the ground. When I had a fever, he would stay up all night, wiping me down with alcohol to bring my temperature down. Last year, when I was stranded on a mountain road during a torrential downpour, he waited for me at the exit with an umbrella for 3 whole hours. I remember that time after my surgery. He stayed by my side for 2 days and nights without sleeping. When a nurse handed him water, his hands trembled so much he could barely hold the cup. He once said that as long as I was with him, it was his greatest happiness. How could he bear to leave me? Tom collapsed on the ground, staring at the distraught Mary, unsure whether to feel satisfaction or sorrow. Mary, I once loved you, I said calmly, but now that love has long been worn away by you. Before the words had fully faded, I wrapped my arm around Lily's shoulder and turned toward the wedding venue. Behind us, Mary's heart-wrenching sobs tore through the air. She finally realized that she had completely lost me, with not even a shred of room for reconciliation left. The wedding with Lily was grand and luxurious. I was also very satisfied with the wedding and with the bride. After it ended, Lily took me back to the new villa. Suddenly, she threw herself into my arms, tilting her head to kiss my chin. George, I love you. Whether you are the past you or the present you, I love you all the same. She placed a property transfer agreement in front of me. I don't ask for 100% of your love. Just treat me the way you once loved Mary, and that will be enough. I will be loyal to you and give you everything. I raised my eyes to look at her, already certain. You heard my conversation with Tom on the mountain that day. She nodded heavily. I suddenly laughed, took the contract, and signed my name. All her assets were now under my name. When she stood on tiptoe, I whispered, "When you're free, I'll sketch a portrait for you." Hearing this, she suddenly hugged me tightly, her voice trembling with excitement. Okay, This was the second time I had drawn a portrait. The first time was for Mary. As the night deepened, I held Lily tightly in my arms and suddenly understood. When I brought Lily home, all her actions spoke clearly. She didn't dislike me. Rather, she likes me very much. It's just because I was once her sister's lover that she always speaks with such bitterness. But how deep is this affection? I can't be sure. How long will this affection last? I'm not sure either. Until that day in her study, I saw a cabinet full of love letters. It turns out she had long been writing her unspoken love in those letters. Only then did I realize she had secretly loved me for so many years. That day, I also learned that I had been the only one in her heart all along. She finally got the chance to have me. This is just perfect. I will cherish her with all my heart. I held her tightly, letting her bury her face in the crook of my neck, listening to her tender and affectionate voice. George, I love you from the first time you came to my home.